Okay, nice to meet you. Yeah, two years of training. See that?
Just made my day.
Yeah, me too.
I'll be right back.
Good evening, everybody. So we're going to start, I guess, with the our work session, the executive session. Vinny, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. First up, we have a presentation from our Shade Tree Committee about the tree planting budget and TD Bank Green Space Grant update. So I'll ask Mr. Cohen to come up, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Josh Cohen, chairperson of Hackensack Shade Tree Committee. Tonight I'm presenting on the TD Bank grant, which we just wrapped up recently. It was a $20,000 award given to 10 organizations nationwide. We could use half of that for planting trees and the other half had to go to an educational component. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
Can you hear what I said, or should I start?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, all right, good. Right, so priority was given to projects in areas that primarily serve low to moderate income residents or take place in underserved communities. That meant that our best shot of getting this grant was focusing on the Hackensack area, which is surprisingly the only area in the city that qualified as low to moderate income. These are the other cities that were awarded it. I thought this was pretty prestigious to see Hackensack up there with such big cities. The Bronx, Washington, D.C., Miami, Brooklyn. I'm not going to read everything, but I thought it was, it's nice to see us up there and getting some recognition for this program. Next slide, thank you. So this is the project need. The Hackensack Elementary School, they serve a community with both the lowest income and the lowest tree canopy coverage in the city. There are few suitable locations for planting trees in that area because there's a lot of narrow roads, there's a lot of overhead wires, you have very little grass medians that can fit trees, so that there's just not a lot of options there. But what we noticed looking at the map is you have this huge green space, which was mostly treeless of 4+ acres, covering the school grounds and the neighboring Pulaski Park. So that set up this project really nicely. We thought we could really make some transformative improvements there. So this is what we were able to accomplish. It's a little small for me to read, but we got 52 trees were planted. We purchased a shed with it for an outdoor classroom. We purchased school supplies. We planted the school supplies such as like binoculars, bird feeders, shovels, everything so that the kids could enjoy their new outdoor space. We planted a pollinator garden in front of the school to help beautify it. We planted a rain garden, which is at the bottom there, in Pulaski Park. We had a community engagement event that was well attended by over 100 people. So it was really great to see that. It was attended by all different school groups, like the cheerleaders. We had school leadership there, the superintendent, the trustees. We had TD Bank representatives there. So it was a real community event. It was nice to see TD Bank send members to help plant the trees and get them installed and do the planting. And it just turned out really nice. And then we were also able to get some coverage in NorthJersey.com, and we had a nice article that talked about this project in good detail. So we got some really nice coverage for the city, some nice publicity there, and good news for Hackensack, which is always nice to see. Next slide, please. So these were the trees we were able to plant. We split them evenly between Pulaski and the school. The circles are the trees, obviously. There was really not much there other than grass when we started. Ryan Westrow was awesome. As soon as he heard about this project, he pulled in a landscape architect from Suburban, and they gave us this great little schematic here, which really pulled this project together. Otherwise, I don't think it would have come out quite the same way. So we were able to get 52 trees planted here, the rain garden, shade for seating at Pulaski Park, native species for ease of maintenance and wildlife support. We had 100% survival rate of these trees so far, which is pretty awesome, I think. A couple of them might have lost a few branches, but overall we did really well with this. We purchased gator bags for each of the trees with part of that grant money. And even though we planted in what was, somewhat of a dry period, we had really good success with that. A gator bag is a bag that attaches to the tree. I've seen them on Main Street now. I think they purchased them too. And you can pour water in it, and it releases water over time to help them survive. So these are just a couple pictures. On the left was before, on the right was after, with my son in there showing up. The bottom one, is looking the opposite direction, but I think you get the impression of what's going on there. And in a few years, this is going to make a big difference. Part of how we came up with this too, we really just listened to the community's needs. We went down to the school, we talked to the school about what they needed. The school, they already had an outdoor program that they were starting, and so $10,000 we were able to use on getting them supplies, which just really sets them up nicely to do a lot more with this outdoor space. While we were looking at the park, we had people approach us, talk to us about what we were doing there. They mentioned there used to be trees, there used to be a lot of shade, there wasn't anything there anymore. So those are some of the areas that we really try to focus on with this. And then having that community event, having people come out to plant the trees, get them involved in their community. We had some concerns that there would be vandalism to the trees or something like that, and we just haven't seen that yet. I think that potentially is partly due to the community engagement on that. So next slide, please. Thanks. These are just some more photos. We have some pictures of the kids. That one in the middle is the pollinator garden we planted. We also did our Arbor Day tree planting there in the middle. So all of that was previously grass. And now they have a really nicely planted native species with, the teachers were telling me they have monarch butterflies coming now and stuff, which is cool. Have DBW on the top right there, helping to bring in some wood chips. The bottom left we're planting, and you can't see it too well, but I think that middle one is the shed that we planted, and some close-ups. And we also purchased like $1,000 of books for them, so that it has lessons, activities for the teachers. They can just go in and now photocopy a lesson if they want to use it with their kids for looking for bugs or looking for tree species, or just learning about their outdoor environment. Next slide. I just want to thank everyone. This was really big effort from a lot of people involved in this, and it was really awesome to see how people would just jump right in to help the community. I used Ryan as an example of that, and just their efforts to do that were, really helped make this happen. So top of the list, we have the Shade Tree Committee, myself, Dana, Tripp, and Margot are on that. Principal is Moran. He's been an awesome partner. Everything we asked of him was just yes, 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 let's do it. I can't say enough about Principal Moran with this. Superintendent Sanchez was awesome partner too. He really helped us get things through and get things approved. We had the Garden Club of Hackensack with Jenny Lynn Brown involved. They designed that pollinator garden. They picked out the species that we planted. They organized the kids planting that garden, which was really cool to see. And really got them involved. We had Vicki Cohen from the FDU School of Education. She helped me pick out the books and the equipment to really make their outdoor classroom more useful. Fred and Joe, can't say enough. A lot of what we did was not typical, I think, of what we normally do. We don't normally plant on school property. We don't usually plant 52 trees at once. They were really great partners, helped us get them in the ground. We did it. Even the night before it rained, it filled up one of the rain garden holes that we had dug. Joe had to go back to DPW, I think, and got a pump to drain it out. So they were really helpful, and can't say enough about that. Ryan, I already mentioned. Allison, thank you. I sent you a ton of emails about this, so appreciate it. Same with Jacqueline. Deanna also, she helped us organize everything and get everything ordered, along with Monica in finance. We had 2 new vendors approved with this. One of them was Amish Mike's for the shed. We got a much better deal at Amish Mike's than we would have gotten at Home Depot. I think that shed was like $2,000 or $2,500, and Home Depot would have been like twice as much. So we got that approved. If the city needs a shed, can't recommend. I can highly recommend Amish Mike's if you want to do that. Go that route. We also had Amazon approved as a vendor, which I think again was something we're not used to doing. But Monica worked for months on this, so thank you very much. Edith was involved in the beginning. Edith Tirzano. She really pushed me to get this through and came up with the idea and came to early meetings with me on this. So thank you. Matt Smith was the landscape architect. Carly O'Connell was our grant writer, so thank you very much. And it's just awesome having these resources available too through the city. I wasn't aware of this from the beginning, but having them available helped us get this project, helped us make have a really amazing outcome of it. So that was awesome. Victoria's Nursery gave us a really great discount on these trees. We got very large, trees that were retailed $600. He gave us everything for $150 each, which, Kathy, I don't know if you remember when I first presented on this, you said, do you think we'll be able to do everything? And I said, I don't know. But because of Victoria's, we were able to do everything and even a little more than that. So that was pretty exciting too, that we got that. And then Downs donated like a full dumpster load of wood mulch that was challenging for us to even use. There was so much of it. So thank you to both of them. And I think that's it for this one.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, John. Good job.
Thank you. I happy to answer any questions about that, or just roll into the next one also, if this is separate presentation.
Continue doing a good job.
What I really enjoy about it, same with the trees on Main Street, you already see a big difference from year to year, how big the trees
Yep.
get, how much it improves. Like in the first year, you're like, oh boy,
We were
it's
down
sparse,
there.
but then when they start filling in and and growing. It's really, really impressive.
We had
Great job.
the original tour in October 2022, and it's such a difference now. So you guys have a vision, and you followed through with it, and it looks great. Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, what we noticed too is it's neat if you look at Google Maps, you can see the trees now on there. They're just like little holes, but you know, in the next 5 years or something, it should look a lot different.
5 years from now, it'll be a lot different.
Yeah. All right, so this is a separate presentation. Just so happened that the timing worked out to do them both at the same time. I'm going to talk about some of this street tree funding in Hackensack. Right, so our goal here is Hackensack should plant a street tree for each one that is removed, and funding should reflect our goals. So I've heard this said a few times that every time a street tree is removed, we plant one in its place. If we could go to the next slide, please. So this talks about the responsibilities, and this council has worked hard to help delineate these responsibilities recently. You've recently passed some ordinances to make this clear on who's responsible for what, which is awesome. DPW, city manager are responsible for planting, maintenance, removal, and best practices of street trees. Shade Tree Committee, we're really only responsible for advising. And part of that advising is I applied to NJUCF certification, which is the New Jersey Urban Community Forestry certification, along with Tree City USA certification. And part of that reporting that I do is saying how many trees we plant and how many we remove. So I was looking at these numbers, and they don't seem to reflect the goal that we want to remove, that we want to plant a tree for everyone that we remove. If we go to the next slide, I think that demonstrates it. Right. So just some quick benefits here. I pulled these pictures off of our developers, developments that are happening in Hackensack. The top one I think goes by the bus stop, if I remember. I think that's Lot 7 or something like that it's called. And I love their vision. They packed the streets with trees. Definitely doesn't look like that now, but I'd like to work with them to make that happen. Some benefits, economics, property values will increase with trees. They offer shade and cooling. Studies show health and well-being are associated with being around trees. They improve our air quality. They improve biodiversity because bugs will eat the plants, and birds will eat the bees, and birds will eat the bugs that are eating the plants, and so on. And they can also help with stormwater management. So a lot of benefits. I don't want to harp on this too much. So this is it, the current funding. So we're currently budgeting $6,000 annually for replacement trees in the entire city. And I'm just pausing for a dramatic effect there, because $6,000 for the entire city gives us enough funding for about 30 trees, maybe a little more if we go really small and we do only lower quality trees that aren't great for street trees. And that also means that we can only buy the same type because there's not many varieties available at that price point. So we're really limited with what we're planting because of the budget and because they're trying to stretch it as far as it can go, which even 30 isn't enough because we're removing 70 trees annually each year. So we have a pretty big gap there. We also require new buildings to plant trees. I wasn't able to get exact numbers on how many buildings or how many trees are planted by these buildings, but that seems to be the justification right now for saying that we are planting trees for everyone that is removed. And then residents can also request to purchase a tree. I think last year we did 4, so it's not well advertised or at least well utilized right now, and doesn't really contribute really to that number. So summary, $6,000 for the total budget. We're removing 70, and that gives us a budget to plant 30, 35 maybe if we go all low quality trees. So amazingly, the engineering department has been working on a tree inventory report. We've done south of Passaic Street so far. This is just a great tool, amazingly useful tool to help us understand where we're at. And I have another slide on that, which we'll get to in a minute. On the right is where they've done the tree inventory to date, south of Passaic Street. Each of those dots is a tree. That image to the left of it is the tree equity score. So there's a website, treeequity.com, and it uses geospatial, I don't know, these satellite images to determine how many trees are in an area, and then correlate that with socioeconomic and racial statistics. And you can see, like, you know, we're pretty orange there, and the dots are pretty orange also on the right, which is not good objectively. So we have currently south of Passaic Street 800 trees in poor condition and close to 39 that are currently dead. The best practice, we wouldn't want to see more than 10% of a single species. We have 25% are maples. This is what I was talking about on the previous slide. You know, silver maples, known to grow really fast. It's an attractive tree. That's great. But that fast growth leads to brittle branches. They will crack and die in storms. They fall on cars, and that leads to heavy pruning, which also kills the tree even quicker. So, and then 15% of them are calorie pears, which last year the council passed an ordinance to ban planting those. Also, they're really not good street trees. They were originally sold in like the 60s as the future of street trees, and they're known to spawn trees with large spikes, thorns on them, and they also will break very easily in storms. So not good quality street trees. Objectively, this is not a good summary of quality of trees south of Passaic Street. So here are some of the results of looking at this data. More trees are being removed from areas of lowest income and our lowest tree canopy coverage in the city. Right, we saw that they have worse tree coverage in the south side of Hackensack. We've seen that they have lower tree canopy coverage, lower quality in that side of the city. Most trees, because we're underfunding this and relying on the development to plant this, most trees are being planted where development and gentrification are occurring. So the result of that is our neighborhoods are losing trees while our new developments are gaining canopy coverage. And it's great to see. I would never say let's not plant trees, you know, in these downtown areas, but it shouldn't come at the expense of our neighborhoods. Next slide, please. So, really great, we have this tree survey now. We can answer some of these questions which we weren't able to. I believe we'll have the north side of the city this year, I think, but I have to check with Ryan on that. So what is the current state of our Hackensack's canopy? How many trees should we be prepared to remove and replace? What percent of trees are we removing each year? Where should we focus efforts on canopy restoration? What species of trees do we have? What should we plant? Where should we plant trees for flood mitigation? These are all questions and the answers that fall on the responsibility of DPW and the city manager. And we're happy to offer advice on it. But we have this tree inventory now that's giving us these answers and helps us answer these questions, which to me is super exciting. Next slide, please. So these are some funding options. Right, we have what I call like supplemental funding, how we've been relying on this program. We could do grants like what I just talked about. You know, that's great. I don't think it's reliable. The 50 trees we planted are awesome. That should be a nice to have on top of whatever program we're running. If you're relying on us to pull in grants or Hackensack High School to pull in grants to plant street trees, we're not funding this appropriately. It's not going to be consistent, and frankly, it's not our responsibility to do that based on the ordinance you guys have set up. We can rely on building developments, which I've talked about a little, but again, I see that as more supplemental. That means that every year we have to keep having new buildings coming in, or we're just going to be losing canopy coverage over the whole city. So we could do sustainable funding, and I see two options for that. One, increase the budget line item. That's the most obvious, probably the easiest to do there. We can also have permanent funding, like the tree removal permit fee, where we charge we require people who remove trees on private property to plant a tree somewhere else in town. We presented on this in May. I haven't heard anything back on that from Steve yet, but that would be an option also for funding this, and I think would go a long ways to doing this. And that would apply also to even developments, like there's a few near where I live on Clinton, I can think they just clear cut a couple lots on Anderson for 2 townhouses that are going in. And you know, that would have been like just a few trees, 4 or 5, but considering the dire straits of our existing budget, like that's significant, that one property owner right there. Thank you. So this is our budget request, which we're suggesting. It'd be 140 trees at $285 a tree, which is $39,900 annually. We're removing 70 trees for each of the last 3 years. I've seen mention of 70 trees even in the 2016 forestry plan that we put together. I mentioned that we're removing 79, so that seems to be a magic number, but we also have to take into consideration, you know, we have 40 dead trees standing right now and 800 poor conditions south of Passaic Street. We could assume, you know, let's say those are going to come down in the next 10 years. So you have a lot of trees that need to come down and be replaced over the next few years. Next slide, thank you. So what's the long-term solution here? It's being proactive versus reactive. And this, I'm quoting this from our community forestry management plan, which was put together in 2016, and Mayor LaBrusse, I think you signed this one. Most work is completed in response to service requests and complaints versus as part of a systematic programmed maintenance rotations. So when I was putting this together, you know, I asked, how many trees do we expect to cut down next year? That's pretty common, you know, I think that's a good place to start when you're working on a budget. But the response was we don't work that way, right? We get phone calls that come in, we reply to those phone calls or respond to those phone calls, and there's not, you know, we're not running a future-looking program, to be honest. That's one way of being proactive. Another way, you know, just what's our maintenance rotation? I've anecdotally noticed the same trees in front of Prospect Street seem to get trimmed every year, which isn't necessary. And you know, it's interesting that we have 40 dead trees, but you know, we're not focused on that. Instead, we're trimming the same trees every year. So I think there's a lot here. I'm happy to work with everyone on developing a proactive plan, but objectively, this is not what we have right now. We have a reactive plan to this. So why is this important? Healthy trees require less maintenance. The right tree in the right place. Healthy, right? Putting more efforts into maintaining healthy trees is less expensive than constantly planting trees, cutting them down, and repeating the cycle every 10 years. When we have trees planted underneath overhead wires, limited curb space, we want to have diverse stock. Another example of proactive management would be, you know, we have 800 poor condition trees. I'd love to understand, like, what led to that? Why are they there? Was they in the wrong place? Were they the wrong species? Was it PSE and G? Like, I don't know, and I don't think anyone's really going, you know, right now looking into that. Similarly, we have, you know, I've asked a few times about emerald ash borer, which is a contagious bug that's destroyed all the ash trees. I asked if we had ash trees in town. The response was no, we don't. We got the tree survey. We have 30 ash trees in town. You know, I don't think we should be proactively looking at what kind of treatments do we do to the trees that we have, so that we don't have to keep cutting them down and replacing them. And then also just following best practices, which again falls under DPW and city manager. These are standards, American National Standards Institute for Standards of Tree Care and Tree Care Best Management Practices. This is one thing we were talking to Fred about. We're required as part of our NGUCF certification to earn continuing education credits, and it would be possible to have city workers do training that would qualify towards that those CEU credits. So that's one thing that we're looking into that might help some of this. And then, so summary, last slide. You know, this is a chance to define how we want our city to look, to feel, to serve the community. Having this tree inventory survey done gives us a wealth of information and lets us react to this. This is not like the end of the world. We can respond to this and determine how we want our city to be. Right? Poor tree husbandry, it's more expensive in the long term. Green spaces are highly desirable, as our property developers are demonstrating in their conceptual plans. We are currently relying on developers to plant trees, which is not sustainable or equitable management plan. And increasing the funding available to plant street trees is a priority, it should be. So that's it, thank you.
Josh? City manager is going to have to sit with you and the committee and go over the budget and see how we can accomplish the best we can do on that. So I recommend that we do get together and have a meeting.
Great, I'd love
Maybe
to.
after the meeting, we'll do-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was some county coming out there, we said this work, I mean, I think we have a few, other irons we can put in the fire, and hope we can appropriate some additional monies as well. Both Leo and I are on the finance and budget committee, but CFO, so, we're certainly going to take into consideration as well. Leo, your efforts.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yourself and everyone on the sheet.
Thank you.
And I like the idea that you brought up the new building. So what I'd like to see is maybe, as an advisory board, we set something up so developers have to plant the right tree in the right place.
Well, that they are, I mean, we do it at the planning board,
Right.
they are required, and,
Yeah, but we don't
that's.
specify exactly what tree it is. So we got two different types on
You
Main Street.
figure, yeah, but I'm talking about what's on their own property. I was
Right.
thinking more, maybe we can encourage them also to contribute to plants
Around.
outside of development.
Yes.
I think that maybe incorporating them or inviting them to a meeting or two of yours and see if there's a way to say, wow, you're doing a great job here, maybe we could, here's an area that's right aligned with you and entryway to your development that would look really beautiful. I mean, there's a way to entice that type of thing. So, maybe we could work together on some of that as well.
I would love that, that would be great. And these are not big budgetary items, I think, when you're talking a multi-million-dollar development, the tree is a couple $100, so
Yeah, I think it's worth a discussion, and I know, that they're concerned about their surroundings as well, so maybe a nice opportunity.
lot 7, I'd like to talk to them with their conceptual picture.
That's 150, 170.
I think you're talking about Boulder City?
No, I think that was the one that's going by the bus station. That was,
Oh, the brook,
yeah.
okay.
Well, I'm looking because the one thing where they show the most trees is the county probation site, which has been an empty lot for a long 10, 15 years. Yeah. That's just, when they do these renderings, they want it to look pretty.
yeah, oh yeah, I get it.
They-
But
But it's
But
still
those trees,
important to make
those
sure.
trees
that-
aren't even there, that's just a wish list.
yeah,
Still up to us to make sure that they do what they're said. I mean, there are planting requirements on this.
Yeah.
Make sure that they adhere to them.
Okay, thank you.
all right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Very thorough job, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, number 2 is a discussion regarding the New Jersey Department of Transportation Bicycle and Pedestrian Planning Assistance Program Grant. This was initiated by Mr. Dibb. The grant does not commit the city to the expenditure of any funds at this time, nor does it commit the city to build a comprehensive bike lane program. The grant will help us identify which streets, if any, may be good candidates for bike lanes and seek to establish a pilot route. So that's what,
This was actually initiated by Hackensack University Medical
Yes.
Center. 2 of their doctoral candidates actually reached out to me about them being very willing to do this and take part in this initiative and work with this grant with us if the city was willing to work with them. And again, at no cost to the city. I think it's a great idea. We've talked about bike lanes for a long time. And they're gonna do all the legwork and all the hard work and see what they come up with as something that seems feasible for us, that we can consider for like a first attempt at a bike lane. And then again, we'll bring it back to the public and talk about it, whether it still makes sense. This is a very early stage of that. I definitely think it's something we should engage in. It doesn't require any expenditure by us. And they're willing to do it as part of their doctoral work, so let's support them as well.
very good. Number 3 is on an ordinance tonight for, Hackensack Creative Team, establishing a Hackensack Creative Team ordinance. This is part of a requirement by Sustainable New Jersey. So that is a technicality with that.
That's the environmental committee.
Yeah.
We're trying to move forward into our bronze status, and we really appreciate all their efforts. And, there's certain criteria by the state. And, this is something I think that would go a long way, and I think it's a very positive impact for the city as well. We all know how important the arts are, and we all, in having not only a valuable downtown, but, a city that prospers as well and provides those things. So I think it's a great idea, then.
And I'll just add, when we adopt this ordinance in 2 weeks, the team consists of between 6 and 11 members, so you're going to want to start thinking about, who you're going to appoint, because...
The environmental committee already has...
They have 6 now.
Yeah.
They have 6 now.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean, we should be able to, at the next meeting, have a resolution ready to go to make those appointments simultaneous with adopting the ordinance.
And again, kudos to the environmental committee and those folks on Green. I think it's a very positive thing for the city, and it's certainly moving in the right direction, so we appreciate your support too, Ken.
Yeah. Number 4 is another ordinance regarding procession permits. This takes on the approval process changes and the fees. I don't know if you have any other comments on that, Steve?
Yeah, I do think this is important to understand, which is that the city has been receiving many requests for processions, which are when you actually go along city streets and you potentially interfere with the normal movement of traffic. So when that happens, that does create some public safety issues. It creates some disruption to the city. So we're establishing a more formal process for, if you want to have a parade or a procession that is going to go along city streets at not the usual traffic speed, potentially going through red lights, you're going to need appropriate public safety available to make sure that that's done in a safe and effective manner. So it just affects those sort of expressive activities. It does not affect things like protests or marches on a sidewalk or in front of City Hall or anything like that. It's a very limited ordinance, but it is something that many municipalities have done, particularly because of the costs involved that taxpayers shouldn't have to defray. If someone wants to have a parade, we will certainly work with them. We will establish a clear and transparent application process that will go to you as the city manager. You will then discuss it. If there's any conditions in terms of timing or safety issues, you can work on that with the applicant, and hopefully you come to an accommodation that would allow this to occur without too much disruption to the municipality and making sure everybody is safe. So that's the purpose behind it. It is something, as I said before, that many municipalities have been taking a look at recently, given the increased number of requests for these sort of activities.
Thank you, Steve. Number 5 is another ordinance regarding Chapter 93, which is simply clarification of some verbiage regarding sanitation and rubbish. Some clarification as far as the descriptions and types. That is for the potential for future citations if we have to issue them. Last but not least is our CSO and stormwater update. Parks update. I'll ask our city engineer, Chris Wheaton, to come up.
Evening, everybody. Just to bring your attention to a couple of our major projects on the list that schedules have changed. The Polyflight Park drainage improvements have been extended from this month out to April as we're working through consideration of changes that will have less impact to the site, to the park, and to the trees at that park. So just a minor schedule extension there. Next slide, please. On the Anderson drainage area, we are continuing, Veolia is continuing with their water service connection relocations on Stanley Place. PSE&G is continuing their service relocations on Clay Street now, and will be continuing there for another couple weeks before they move on to the side streets. Presently, the prime contractor, Maizano, has just completed the sanitary work on Berdan and is moving to James Street. On our flood mitigation grant project, we're continuing our work with the closed circuit television and base mapping of the sewers in this area. As mentioned, the scope has been extended and the contract time, the associated contract time has been extended as well to April. It's a little slow going in the winter time, but we're now have completed about 22 miles of sewer inspection and mapping, which is about 62% of the total scope of the project. On our parks projects, Carver Park has made great improvements. We're just about complete there, but the final surfacing of the courts will be done when the weather warms. We can't get that coating down in the cold weather. For Fashini Park, as noted at our last couple meetings, we have a public hearing that's planned for change in use for Fashini Park to use those funds for a different portion of the park than was originally granted. So that's a minor change in use hearing that's planned for our next meeting. And for Johnson Park Sports Complex, I'm really getting excited about this project as we're coming to completion and the plans and contract documents are coming together. I do expect that bidding on that project is imminent within the next week or so. And so looking forward to seeing that moving forward. Just an overview of the paving projects that have been completed in the last 5 years. Color-coded, it's a little hard to see, but anybody who wants this can contact our office. And just to bring your attention to a project that we'll be bidding soon, we have received approval from the county for the Prospect Ave Pedestrian Improvements Project, which is from Beach Street to Essex Street. There will be new crosswalks and ADA ramps, and as well as flashing beacons and high-intensity crosswalk beacons at the crosswalks indicated for Thompson Street and Atlantic Street. For our City Hall offices, renovation of John Earl building is going according to schedule. Everything is advancing, continuing to advance, and in-wall inspections have passed the building department inspection. The roof replacement contract is complete, except for a few punch list items on that project. And that's everything for today. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Getting there. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. So last thing, with that, I need a motion to open to the public, please.
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Anybody from the public would like to speak, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Marty Smith, Prospect Avenue. At the December meeting of the council, we asked why the posted speed limit on Summit Avenue between Passaic and Spring Valley Avenue is posted as 35 miles an hour when city streets, and according to the council, Summit Avenue between those locations are city jurisdiction, and it should be 25 miles an hour. Mr. Caruso said he would check on this further. I wonder if we have any additional information.
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, no, we do not. I haven't heard back from the county yet, but I did put a request in to find out, to get some more research on that.
Okay. And secondly, has the council decided whether to move forward on the upgrading of current pedestrian crossing signs on Prospect Avenue at Berry and Golf Place, replacing the current ones with flashing pedestrian signs?
Two intersections, correct?
Prospect and Berry, Prospect and Golf.
Yeah. I will look into that further.
That would be for north and southbound traffic.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next person, please.
Rich Serbo, Spring Valley Avenue, Hackensack. You know, I was glad to hear the presentation from the shade tree person, Mr. Cohen, I think his name was. And I think it's a good opportunity to bring up the fact that homeowners need attention. Homeowners may need some help with tree removal and tree plantings or whatever. It's a good time to bring it up. There's so much involved with trees in the city. He said there's lots of dead trees, there's lots of trees that have to come down. Why not give homeowners a hand with the tree department? What's the name of it? The tree department, is that what it's called? The department in the city? The tree department, shade. But there's another department that services the trees. Okay, so why not at this time add that to this shade tree discussion to have homeowners benefit when it comes. You're taxing our property 4 times a year. We pay our taxes. We got to pay them next week again. So why not give a hand to taxpayers? It's almost partially your property, so why not give us a hand with trees that could use some pruning, some trimming, even trees that need to be taken down could benefit homeowners, and homeowners need more attention anyway. We never hear that word in here. It's always the developers, it's always something else. Homeowners need attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Next person, please.
Good evening, council members. John Kane on Herman Street, 40-year resident of Hackensack, retired member of the Hackensack Police Department. We have an outstanding group of men and women police officers serving our community. They come to work every day risking their lives in all types of weather. They spend a lot of time away from their families and loved ones, especially on holidays. I ask you as the council and the police administrative department, please treat them with the respect and fairness they deserve here in our community, and appreciate what they do. From experience, the department was better off with a police chief appointed from the ranks than a director brought in from the outside. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, we're going to motion to close. That's somebody?
Hello, I'm Robin Keno, Herman Street, Hackensack. As a taxpayer, I think I would rather pay these men and women to work like they do, give them their fair pay, and I would rather pay for that than to pay for lawsuits because of unfair labor practices and unfair treatment. Thank you.
Anyone else? Barry?
Gary Tizano, Fairmount Avenue, Hackensack. Hi, everyone. Back to the tree ordinances, and Josh had a slide up about permits. A few years back on the environmental, that question came up about having residents, and I'll tell you why, pay a permit to have a tree taken down. It seems like in the spring, that's since I'm retired, I'm home, it seems like there's an onslaught of tree surgeons coming into the neighborhoods, and you hear the buzz of chainsaws going, and trees are coming down of all sizes. Granted, a resident has a right to take a tree down on their private property, but if they're going to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 or $5,000 in today's market, they should be able to pay a permit that the city can benefit by it. Planting a tree somewhere else, Josh, is okay, but there's rateables that can be obtained and cut down because people are just taking down trees sometimes for the wrong reason. A neighbor of mine took a tree down 2 years ago. He didn't want his wife stepping on the acorns. $5,000 to take the tree down, an old growth tree. Yes, it's your property. If you have a house, if the tree is endangering your property, you have every right to to protect your property. But I think you have to go by having a permit, and it has to be sent out to tree surgeons and landscapers that you're not just gonna come into Hackensack and randomly cut down trees, that there's nothing wrong with that tree. Get something out of it. Go by the circumference, diameter, whatever, and have a permit process established accordingly. And let's cut down on that and get some money out of it so we can plant more trees in areas that need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Next, please. Motion to close?
Offer.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
All right.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. All right, we will be back in about 5-6 minutes. Oh, need a motion to close the executive session?
Oh, yeah, I guess, in the closed session, we did discuss ongoing police litigation pending at the Public Employment Relations Commission. We also discussed the ongoing ZISA litigation, and I think that was it.
What's it? Motion to close the executive session.
Offer.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino.
Aye.
Councilmember Pataglia.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
All right.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Motion to close the council of the whole.
Offer.
Roll call?
Councilmember Von Rudenberg.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Canestrino. Councilmember Pataglia. Councilmember Carroll.
All right.
Mayor LaBrus.
Aye. Next meeting will start at right around 8 o'clock. Thank you.